Is TrainerRoad's new plan builder feature a game changer for self-coach cyclists? Maybe, maybe not. Really depending on your personality. I'm 8 weeks in, so I wanted to put a short video together talking about what it is, how I'm using it, what I like about it, and then what could actually be improved. So if you're interested, stick around. I've been using TrainerRoad since 2011, almost 10 years, and I cannot imagine preparing for a cycling season without it. I know I get a lot of flack from people that say, just ride your fat bike outside, get outside, and I get it. It's more fulfilling to ride your bike outside, but man, sometimes you just don't have the time and you just want to knock things out and you want to be as effective as you can be. And I've really grown to love the Trainer, which is crazy, but with music and YouTube videos and then guidance like this from TrainerRoad, it has gone a long ways. TrainerRoad has been the best program. I've tried a lot of them. I've tried Zwift, I've tried some others, and for my personality, TrainerRoad just works. You do a test, they develop the video, they develop the plans and the workouts, and you go from there. And the other thing is I like that they've just continued to innovate. Again, coming out with a calendar feature, allowing you now to do workouts outside by using a head unit, connecting seamlessly to things like apps like Strava and Training Peaks and Garmin Connect, and now coming up with this plan builder feature. We're going to take a quick look at it, but again, as a marketing teacher, I love the fact that TrainerRoad just brands themselves so well as well. They don't take themselves too seriously. Check out their podcast with their CEO and their coaches. They've got a great blog, race analysis videos, and a lot of features for people who don't even subscribe. When they say they want to make you the fastest cyclist you can be, I believe them. And this plan builder feature, so far, so good. So let's take a quick look. So the first thing I want to take a look at is just how this plan builder works. And it works in kind of a similar way to how TrainerRoad has always worked. You test, you get your threshold, and then your workouts are based on that. It just enhances that a little bit by asking you several questions at the front end and then developing a more customized plan based on your volume need, your races, your A, B, and C races, and so on. So let's take a quick look. So here we are in my Training Plans app, and under Training Plans now it has Plan Builder. You can go in and actually take a look at the base phase, build phase, and specialty phase like you always have. But if you click on Plan Builder, the first question it's going to ask you is how many hours per week have you trained in the last 6 weeks? And what they always say on their podcast, and I believe it, is that a lot of us start seeing these numbers and think, you know what? I can train 20 hours a week. I know I can do it. And they always say err on the side of fewer than more, because there's nothing more defeating than setting a schedule up and then seeing that schedule. Oh, I had to skip that workout. Oh, I had to knock off that workout, or I had to cut out early on that workout. So you can always add, but it's hard to subtract. That being said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And for the last several years, I've been working out maybe 5 to 7 hours a week, and I wanted to try working out more like 9 to 11 if I can make it work. So I went in here and clicked 10 plus. My current training volume, even though I'm an old guy, I selected high volume. And then what is your level of experience? Like I said, I've been using TrainerRoad since 2011, so would have to look at a number, but I think I've done over 800 workouts on TrainerRoad. So I'll call myself an expert. And then you select your start date, and you can let it start whenever you want. I guess not in the past, but we'll just, for the purposes of this, say that today is the start date. And then you're going to add an event. So the one nice thing about this is they know that you cannot have, and A races are just your most important races. And the question that they would get most often is, well, what if all of my races are A races? They are not. They are not A races. So they force you to pick an A race, but those A races have to be 8 weeks apart because they say you can't have 2 peaks that are any closer to that. You can race all through there, but you can't have 2 A races. So in my calendar, my first A race is Tour of America Dairyland, and my second A race is the Gateway Cup, which I think are about 8.5 or 9 weeks apart, which works out really well. But you can add any event in there. So let's just say Tuesday Night Worlds, which is our local Tuesday Night Crit. The discipline is Criterium, and we will call that a C. It's just like a workout. And then I believe the first one of those is April 14th. The duration is about an hour. Intensity will be race pace. You can add a description and then add to that event. And there it is. And you'll just continue to go. So I talked about my A race. We'll just call it Toad for ease of tag. And Tour of America Dairyland is actually a stage race. And it's a criterium-based stage race. And it's my most important event. And then you'll hit next. And because it's a stage race, then you'll just start adding events in here. And then you'll just start adding those stages. So once you hit next, it asks you how you would like your week to be scheduled. Would you like your intense days to be on Monday or Tuesday? And with my teaching schedule, again, I kind of rearrange these whatever makes sense to you. But that's kind of a nice feature. The last stage is you would review your plan, and then it will be up to you to decide whether you want it to become part of your plan or not. So we'll go back and we'll just pretend that I'm going to shoot this out. But we'll take a look at my calendar. So then your calendar comes up, and you'll want to review that calendar, make sure all of your dates for races are accurate. Just taking a look at a few features of my calendar. The nice thing about TrainerRoad is all of your workouts, even outdoor workouts, are included in here. So going back, I was a NICA head coach for my son's mountain bike team. So a lot of these fall miles were just riding with the kids. During December, before Plan Builder came out, I was doing just a little bit of base, more traditional base. And then my official Plan Builder began about the week of Christmas. So right here is when my plan began. And normally you would see a ramp test. However, because I did a ramp test a little while ago, I really did my first ramp test here on the 6th. And when you scan through your plan, again, feel free, mine is included in the link to this video, so all of my data and races are out there. So on April 14th is my first race here. And with C races, they don't offer any sort of opener, they just treat it like a normal workout. So the way that I've scheduled my weeks is that I'm kind of blocking this high intensity. I take a full day off here, have an easy day, and then these workouts actually would be great. They could be moved outside. However, for B races, you'll see that they actually do include an opener. So they have not included any workouts, obviously, while you've been racing. And I would consider lacrosse a B race, which by definition is meant to prepare you for those A races. I'm never going to win this time trial or this road race. The criterium is always questionable, but anyways, it is amazing, amazing training. But for the A and B races, they put in a lot of openers, and typically you do kind of nothing the 2 days before, do some openers, and then get a lot of workout in these days. So now we are down to my first A race, which is the 5 or 6 days of Toad for the Masters racing, which I was right. Was I right? On the 24th for the Janesville first Toad on that Wednesday. And as you can see here, they kind of get you into a specialty phase. So all of these workouts are part of the crit specialty phase. However, the intensity or the volume starts dipping as these taper weeks increase. So these look pretty intense, but the intensity factor is really only 85. So the volume is pretty low that week before your A race, 5.5 hours, even at the highest volume. You still need to keep that knife sharp, but you just don't want flat legs going into your A race here. So far so good. Of course, I've been using it a lot in the past, not the plan builder. This is new to me, but the thing I like more than anything else is that it just takes a lot of the thought out of it. Also, whenever I throw my leg over a bike, I want to have some goal in mind. And sometimes that goal is to just have fun or ride with my son. But if I'm truly training, I want to know, what am I doing? Am I doing a sweet spot workout? Am I working on volume? Is this more of a sprint workout or threshold or over-under workout? And TrainerRoad, for as cheap as it is, does an excellent job of doing that. And like I said, now that they have released outdoor rides that go into your Garmin or Wahoo head unit, you've sort of been lifted out of the basement in many ways. I used it a little last year. Jury's still out on how well those work, but I plan on using it more once the roads get more rideable here in Minnesota. One more thing before getting out of my calendar, and it's an area that I struggle with, and I've struggled with really forever for TrainerRoad, and I'm sure I'm not alone. Before you begin any plan, you have to do some sort of threshold test. Back in the day, they had us do 20-minute tests. Then they put in an 8-minute option, so you would go as hard as you could for 20 minutes. They would deduct 5% off, and then that would be your hour-long threshold, and then that would be the number that all of your workouts were based on. If you did 2 8 minutes, they took off 10%, and now they're using a ramp test. And this ramp test works great in June, May, July. However, when you're doing the ramp test in January or February, or really any time during the base phase, it's a struggle. Let's take a look at my ramp test from a couple weeks ago. So here's my ramp test from a few weeks ago. I had a miserable one back in late December, and I thought, okay, let me retest. And a ramp test, of course, you start out at really nothing, and then you're around here and you're like, oh God, this is no problem, this is no problem. And then every minute it goes up. And basically what the ramp test is, you just go until you can't go anymore. So every minute it's going along, and then they're getting to 385, 415, 434, and I've been riding along at 300 watts, 305 watts for 10 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. My body's like, what on earth are you doing at 400 watts? So my FTP ended up at 311. And if you take a look at my most recent workouts, I've been working at 328 and completing 9, 10, 11 hours of sweet spot workouts at 328. So what gives? And I think it's just really hard to do this sort of test when your body isn't used to it. Maybe I'm just soft, but in order to get to the level that I've been completing, I would have needed to stay in the 400 mark for a good 3 or 4 minutes. It's hard. So I basically took a look at that number, and I've been doing it long enough that I said, you know what, that's a little low. I think I cranked it up to about 320, and I was completing all the workouts. And then about a week ago, I cranked it up to, I think, 328, and I've still been completing all the workouts. So with anything else, it's not perfect. I think this ramp test is a step in the right direction, and it works great, like I said, in April, May, and June. But man, in January, if you're anything like me, my body just doesn't want to do this type of effort that it would require to get to my current threshold power. So that's just a little information about TrainerRoad's new plan builder. The steps to get it out working, how I've been using it, and just a little bit about the ramp test. Like I said, I have links to my data, their podcast, as well as some other important links in the information description page of this video. So what do I like about it? Primarily, I think the step in the right direction is being able to really properly plan your A, B, and C races and then have your workouts scheduled around them. It's not a perfect system, but it gives you peace of mind, especially like I said, if you're a self-coached cyclist. The other thing I like about it is that it is just, you don't have to think. You just go outside or walk down the basement, and your plans are all scheduled for you. And it's really easy if you have a crazy week coming up to, again, move things around. I know a lot of race schedules aren't planned yet, so if a new race comes up, you type it in, and then you have the option of altering your plan or having them not alter your plan. But for the most part, you can kind of figure that out as you go. What would be some nice new features? And like I said, TrainerRoad is always innovating. So a couple of things I would like to see is, first, I would love to see sort of an age element to the survey at the beginning. I know that there are definitely differences if you are training as a 44-year-old versus as a 28-year-old in terms of time that you should be resting and off the bike. And I think I'm probably violating that maybe a little bit right now. So having that factor in there would be nice. Also, looking farther ahead, adding some of the Training Peaks elements. It'd be nice on Sunday night, a little AI to get an email that says, hey, it looks like you had a great week. You might want to think about testing, or it looks like you had to pull out of 3 workouts. Here's some suggestions on how to get through it, or here's how you might want to alter your plan. It could definitely, again, give you a little guidance at the end of each week. But overall, I think it is definitely a step in the right direction. It is by far, when people ask me what is the best thing, the most valuable thing you've ever spent cycling related, you could think about power meters and wheels and carbon frames, but I would say without a doubt, TrainerRoad for me has been the most effective piece of cycling gear, if you will, that has enhanced my enjoyment on the bike, my success on the bike, and just kind of peace of mind going forward. If you have any questions about how I'm using it or how I've used it in the past, or other elements that you might have, don't hesitate to reach out. Thanks.